Have you ever woken at 3 a.m., staring into the stillness, wondering if it's just your body betraying you, or something deeper? Buddhist wisdom calls this the hour of the soul's awakening, a sacred window when the universe aligns with your essence. Controversial? Absolutely. But modern science agrees. Between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., your brain reaches its most introspective state, offering clarity and connection. What secrets are you missing in these quiet hours? Let's uncover the transformative power behind them. This isn't just about interrupted sleep, it's about an extraordinary chance to realign your energy, rediscover your purpose, and awaken to your potential. Ancient Buddhist teachings and neuroscience converge, revealing that your mind and body are primed for reflection during these hours. But here's the mystery. Most people miss this gift entirely. Are you ready to harness the power of 3 a.m. to 5 a.m.? Stay with us as we unveil the spiritual and scientific truths behind these sacred moments.
Okay, so we've all been there, right? It's 3 a.m. and you're wide awake staring at the ceiling.
Oh, tell me about it.
You know, it's so easy to just get frustrated.
Oh, yeah.
But what if those pre-dawn hours, what if those were actually like a golden opportunity?
It's funny you should say that because...
That sounds crazy, I know.
It does.
But stick with me here.
No, it's fascinating, right? Because a lot of spiritual traditions, and particularly Buddhist teachings, actually view this time between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. as like a sacred period called the hour of the soul's awakening.
The hour of the soul's awakening.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds pretty intense.
Good.
Like something out of, like an ancient myth or something.
It does have like this kind of mystical quality to it,
Yeah.
but it's not as esoteric as you might think, actually.
Okay.
This idea that the veil between the physical and spiritual worlds kind of thins during these hours.
Yeah.
It's actually gaining some traction in modern science, too. Yeah, neuroscience is starting to understand why this time might be so special.
So is it less about ghosts and more about our brains like going into hyperdrive at 4 a.m.?
Exactly.
Okay.
There's a lot happening in our brains during this time that we're only beginning to understand.
Cool.
For example, like our circadian rhythm, our internal sleep-wake cycle dips to its lowest point around 3 a.m.
Okay.
And that means that your body temperature and your energy levels are both at their lowest, which creates this really natural stillness.
It's true. I always feel that 3 a.m. slump in energy.
Yeah.
You just want to burrow deeper under the covers.
Yeah.
But you're saying there's more to it than just feeling sleepy?
Right. So what's interesting is that the stillness isn't just physical, it's mental too.
Okay.
Neuroscience is showing us that during these hours, our brains are in a very unique state. They're processing emotions, they're consolidating memories.
Wow.
Almost like if your computer's running a system cleanup in the background.
So instead of me stressing about the sleep that I'm losing,
Yeah.
I could actually use this time to my advantage.
Yeah.
Turn that mental cleanup into like a productivity boost.
Precisely.
Okay.
Think about it, the prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain that's responsible for planning and complex decision-making, is actually more active during these quiet hours when the rest of the brain is less busy.
Wow.
And that's why some people find they can solve problems that totally stumped them the day before.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so our brains are primed for problem solving at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Are there any other mental perks? Like, what about creativity?
Hold on.
I've heard some of history's greatest minds were early risers.
Absolutely. So Frank Lloyd Wright, for instance, famously woke up at 4 a.m. every day to design.
Really?
Yeah, he claimed those quiet hours were his most productive.
Wow.
And from a neuroscientific perspective, there's actually a reason for that.
Okay.
Studies have shown that during these pre-dawn hours, we experience heightened activity in the areas of the brain that are associated with creativity and insight.
So we're more likely to have those aha moments in the early morning.
It's definitely possible.
Wow.
And what's even more interesting is that this time is also linked to emotional processing.
Okay.
So your brain actually works through unresolved emotions and anxieties while we sleep, almost like a natural therapy session.
So we're literally working through our issues while we sleep.
Yeah.
That's a relief.
It is.
But honestly, when I wake up at 3 a.m., the last thing I feel is peaceful and insightful.
Sure.
It's more like anxiety central.
Of course.
How can we tap into the positive potential of this time instead of just feeling stressed?
I understand. It's about retraining our minds and bodies to see this time not as a disruption, but as an opportunity.
Okay.
And luckily for us, both ancient wisdom and modern science offer some tools to do just that.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Great.
What can we do to turn those 3 a.m. worries into like a moment of Zen?
Well, Buddhist teachings emphasize practices like conscious breathing,
Okay.
gratitude, and intention setting.
Mhm.
And these practices aren't just ancient rituals, they're actually supported by modern science as well.
I've tried, like breathing exercises before to kind of calm down,
Mm-hmm.
but I never thought to try them in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
How would that even work?
It's actually surprisingly simple and effective.
Oh,
So think of your parasympathetic nervous system as your body's like rest and digest mode.
go.
It's like hitting the brakes after a really long drive. Everything slows down and your body can actually focus on repairing itself.
Yeah.
And deep conscious breathing actually activates this system.
So it's like sending a signal to our body that it's time to chill out, even if our mind is racing.
Exactly. It's a way of interrupting that anxious thought pattern.
Mm.
You can do it anywhere, sitting up in bed, lying down.
Yeah.
Just find a comfortable position. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in through your nose, feeling that air. Fill your lungs.
Mm-hmm.
Hold it for just a moment, and then exhale slowly through your mouth, releasing any tension.
That actually sounds kind of relaxing.
It is.
I might have to give that a try next time I'm up at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
But what about gratitude? Isn't that a bit hard to muster when you're staring at the clock wishing you were asleep?
I know it sounds counterintuitive.
It kind of does.
But shifting your focus to what you're grateful for can actually have a really profound impact on your energy and your mood, even at 3 a.m. From a Buddhist perspective, gratitude is about aligning your energy with abundance, recognizing all the good that's already present in your life.
So even if we don't feel particularly grateful when we're sleep deprived,
Right.
the act of trying to cultivate gratitude can actually shift our mindset.
Yes, and there's a really fascinating scientific basis for this too.
Okay.
Studies have shown that practicing gratitude can increase levels of dopamine and serotonin, which are neurotransmitters that are associated with happiness and well-being.
So it's not just wishful thinking.
No.
It's actual brain chemistry.
Exactly.
So how do we practice gratitude in those early hours? Do we just lie there and think about things we're grateful for?
Exactly. It could be anything, big or small.
Okay.
A warm bed, the sound of rain outside,
Yeah.
a loved one's smile. Just really savor those feelings of appreciation. Let them kind of wash over you.
Okay. I could see how that might help shift your focus away from any anxieties.
Yeah.
And what about intention setting? Isn't that something that we usually do at the beginning of the year or for big goals?
Right.
How does that fit into those quiet early hours?
Well, intention setting is really about harnessing the clarity and the stillness of those early hours to set a really positive tone for the day ahead.
Okay.
It's about asking yourself, what kind of energy do I want to bring into my interactions? What do I want to achieve today?
So instead of letting those 3 a.m. worries kind of take over, we use those quiet moments to kind of set a positive direction for the day.
Exactly. And it's not just about vague hopes or wishes either.
Okay.
In Buddhist teachings, intentions are actually seen as seeds that you plant in your consciousness.
Oh, wow.
And the more specific and actionable your intention is,
Yeah.
the more likely it is to kind of sprout and manifest.
Okay.
So instead of saying, I want to have a good day,
Yeah.
try something like, I intend to approach today's challenges with patience and focus.
Okay. I'm starting to see how these practices could actually be really helpful,
Yeah.
even if I'm not, usually a spiritual person.
Mm-hmm.
But does this stuff really work in real life?
Yeah.
Or is this just a bunch of feel-good theory?
It's not just theory. It's not just theory. There are countless real-life examples of people who have transformed their lives by embracing these early morning practices.
Mm-hmm.
And research is catching up, too.
Okay.
Dr. Lisa Carter, a neuroscientist specializing in sleep and wakefulness, has actually found that the early morning hours put the brain in a really unique state.
Mm-hmm.
Highly introspective,
Yeah.
emotionally open,
Okay.
and making it an ideal time for practices like mindfulness and intention setting.
So science is starting to confirm what spiritual traditions have known for centuries.
Yeah, I think so.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But before we get into any specific examples, I'm curious about something that you touched on earlier.
Sure.
This idea of the veil between the physical and spiritual worlds thinning during this time. It sounds a bit like a spooky movie.
It does sound mystical, but many spiritual traditions, not just Buddhism,
Yep.
believe that during these pre-dawn hours,
Yep.
we're actually more receptive to subtle energies and higher realms of consciousness.
So it's not necessarily about seeing ghosts, but about being more open to insights and a sense of connection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even if we don't subscribe to any particular spiritual beliefs, we can understand this phenomenon from a neurological perspective. Remember how we were talking about the prefrontal cortex being more active during these hours?
Yeah.
Well, that heightened activity, combined with the overall stillness of the brain, can create a sense of expanded awareness, which some people interpret as a spiritual experience.
That makes it's like our brain is tuning into a different frequency when everything else is quiet. So instead of reaching for our phones when we wake up at 3 a.m., maybe we should be reaching for our journals or meditation cushions.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It's really about shifting that mindset from frustration to curiosity. Instead of seeing it as lost sleep, ask yourself, what is my mind trying to tell me? What insights might be emerging?
I love that.
Yeah.
But let's be realistic. Not everyone is going to jump out of bed at 3 a.m. ready to, like, meditate or write poetry.
Right.
Are there any other ways to use this time productively, even if we're not feeling particularly spiritual?
Absolutely. For some people, these quiet hours are ideal for creative work. Your prefrontal cortex is firing on all cylinders, but the inner critic, that voice that often holds us back, is actually much less active. This can lead to like a flow state where ideas come much more easily.
Oh.
And for those who are maybe more analytical, this can be a great time for problem solving or strategizing.
Okay.
Remember, Frank Lloyd Wright wasn't meditating at 4 a.m., he was designing.
You're right. It's about finding what works for you.
Yeah.
Whether it's writing, painting, or finally tackling that presentation you've been putting off.
Yeah.
But I have to ask, are there any downsides to waking up during this time? Could it be harmful to our health if we're constantly interrupting our sleep?
That's a very valid concern.
Yeah.
For most people, occasionally waking up between 3 and 5 a.m. isn't a problem.
Okay.
But if you find yourself consistently waking up during these hours and you're feeling exhausted throughout the day, it's important to pay attention to your body signals. It could be a sign of like an underlying health issue or simply that you're not getting enough sleep overall.
So it's about finding that sweet spot where we're taking advantage of those early hours without sacrificing our overall well-being.
Exactly. It's about listening to your body and honoring your own individual needs.
Yeah.
If you're someone who really thrives on 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep, then forcing yourself to wake up at 3 a.m. is probably counterproductive.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But for those of us who are intrigued by the idea of tapping into the potential of these early hours, how do we get started?
That's a great question.
Do we need to become monks
Oh,
and live in a silent retreat?
Not at all.
Okay.
Start small.
Okay.
Instead of setting your alarm for 3 a.m., simply set an intention before bed to be open to waking up a bit earlier than usual.
Okay.
Maybe try setting your alarm 15 minutes earlier each week. You might be surprised at how your body responds.
So it's about easing into it, not making any drastic changes overnight.
Precisely.
Okay.
And don't put too much pressure on yourself either. If you wake up early and you don't feel like meditating or journaling, just enjoy the stillness. Maybe make yourself a cup of tea and watch the sunrise.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's about creating a positive association with those early hours.
Right.
Not turning it into another chore on our to-do list.
Exactly.
But let's be honest, getting out of a warm bed on a cold morning can be tough.
Oh, for sure.
Any tips for making those early hours a little more inviting?
Definitely. Creating a cozy and calming environment can make a really big difference.
Okay.
Make sure your bedroom is dark, quiet, and at a comfortable temperature.
Okay.
Maybe invest in some blackout curtains or a white noise machine. Just to minimize those distractions.
Those are great practical tips.
Yeah.
And what about screens? I'm definitely guilty of scrolling through my phone in the middle of the night when I can't sleep.
I think we're all guilty of that.
Yeah.
But the blue light that's emitted from screens can actually interfere with our melatonin production.
Right.
Making it even harder to fall back asleep.
Yeah.
So try to avoid looking at screens for at least an hour before bed.
Okay, that's a tough one.
It is.
But I know it's good advice.
It is.
And if we do wake up and we can't get back to sleep, what's the best strategy?
Yeah.
Should we just lie there and try to, like, force ourselves back to sleep?
If you've been awake for more than 20 minutes, it's often better to just get out of bed and do something relaxing until you feel tired again.
Okay.
Read a book.
Yeah.
Listen to some calming music.
Yeah.
Do some gentle stretches.
That makes sense. It's about breaking that cycle of frustration.
Yeah.
And creating a more positive association with being awake during those early hours.
Exactly.
But, it's one thing to understand the benefits of waking up early.
Mm-hmm.
It's another to actually experience those benefits.
Absolutely.
Do you have any stories of real people who have transformed their lives by embracing these practices?
Absolutely. I've actually collected some really amazing stories that highlight the power of these early morning hours.
Okay.
Are you ready to hear them?
I'm definitely ready for some real-life inspiration.
Okay, great.
Tell me about the people who have cracked the code of the hour of the soul's awakening.
All right, let's start with Sarah's story.
Okay.
Sarah was a classic case of burnout.
Oh, no.
High stress job,
Yeah.
constant anxiety, dreading each day. She was the kind of person who hit the snooze button repeatedly, feeling more exhausted with each alarm.
Sounds familiar.
Right. So one night,
Yeah.
Sarah woke up at 3 a.m., just like in a panic about this big presentation. But instead of stressing out even more, she decided to try meditating.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she focused on her breath, calmed her mind, and then she went into that presentation feeling more confident than she had in years.
Really?
And the presentation was a hit.
Wow.
And Sarah realized,
that those early hours could actually be a source of strength, not stress.
So she turned her 3 a.m. anxiety into a moment of clarity and focus.
Exactly.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But did she stick with it?
She did.
Okay.
That experience was a game changer for her.
Okay.
She started waking up a little bit earlier each day, using those quiet hours for meditation, journaling, and setting intentions.
Wow.
Within weeks, she was no longer dreading her days.
Wow, that's amazing.
She had more energy, she felt more focused at work, and she even started sleeping better.
That's a great example of how shifting our perspective on those early hours can have like a ripple effect throughout our lives.
I think so.
But what about people who aren't struggling with burnout?
Right.
Can these practices benefit them too?
They definitely can.
Okay.
Let's talk about Michael.
Okay.
So Michael was a really talented artist.
Okay.
But he was stuck in a creative rut.
Oh.
He had all these ideas kind of swirling around in his head, but he couldn't translate them onto the canvas. I've been there.
Yeah. Sometimes that blank page or canvas can be so intimidating.
It really can.
So one night, Michael woke up at 4 a.m. with this overwhelming urge to paint.
Really?
He went straight to his studio.
Wow.
And just started creating, letting his intuition guide him.
Okay.
And the result was this series of paintings unlike anything he had ever done before.
Wow.
They were vibrant.
Cool.
They were expressive, almost like he had unlocked this hidden part of himself.
It's amazing how those quiet hours can unleash that kind of creative flow.
Yeah.
It's like the inner critic is asleep and the creative genius is free to play.
I love that. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
So Michael actually told me that those early morning sessions felt like magic to him.
Really?
Yeah, like he was channeling something beyond his conscious mind. And it wasn't just a one-time thing either.
Oh, good.
He made waking up early a regular practice, and his art really flourished as a result.
Okay, so we've got the burnout antidote
Right.
and the creative muse. Any other inspiring stories up your sleeve?
I've saved the best for last.
Ooh, okay.
Maria's story is a really powerful example of finding hope and resilience in those dark hours before dawn.
Right.
So Maria had been going through a really rough patch, job loss, a breakup, the whole 9 yards.
Life can throw some curveballs.
It really can.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed during those times.
Absolutely. So one morning around 5 a.m., Maria woke up feeling really restless.
Yeah.
And she decided to go for a walk in nature.
Oh, nice.
And as she walked, she started noticing the beauty around her.
Yeah.
The sunrise, the birds singing, the peacefulness of the early morning.
There's something so grounding about being in nature, especially when you're going through a tough time.
Absolutely. And Maria felt the same way.
Right.
That walk was a turning point for her.
Wow.
She realized that even amidst all of her pain, there was still beauty and goodness in the world. And it gave her this renewed sense of hope and the strength to keep going.
It's like those early morning hours offered her a space to reconnect with herself.
Yeah.
And find solace in the simple things.
Exactly. And Maria actually made that connection with nature a daily ritual.
Oh, wow.
She started going for walks every morning.
Good for her.
And those walks became her anchor, helping her to heal and rebuild her life.
These stories are so inspiring.
They are.
It's amazing how those often dreaded pre-dawn hours can become a source of creativity, clarity, and resilience.
Yeah, they truly are a gift, aren't they?
They are.
A time to reconnect with ourselves, tap into our inner wisdom, and set a positive tone for the day ahead.
And the best part is you don't need to be a spiritual guru or a neuroscientist to benefit from these practices.
Exactly.
It's true.
Start small, be patient with yourself, and see what unfolds. You might be surprised at what you discover in those quiet hours before the rest of the world wakes up.
It's a beautiful message to end on.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights in these inspiring stories.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
To all our listeners, we hope this exploration of the hour of the soul's awakening has inspired you to see the potential in those early morning hours.
Yeah.
May your mornings be filled with peace,
Absolutely.
purpose, and a deeper connection to yourselves.
I hope so.
Until next time on The Deep Dive. Sweet dreams.
As you reflect on waking between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., remember this isn't just about disrupted sleep, it's a sacred invitation. An ancient rhythm calls to align your energy, connect with your spirit, and unlock clarity. Through conscious breathing, gratitude, and intention setting, you can transform these moments into gateways of growth. Buddhist wisdom and neuroscience agree. This time holds unmatched potential for renewal. Are you willing to embrace the quiet power of these hours and redefine your mornings? We've explored the profound significance of the hour of the soul's awakening, where spirituality and science intertwine. From calming the mind through breathwork to raising your energy with gratitude, these practices help reshape your day and your life. The stillness of early mornings allows your subconscious to reveal truths often buried in the chaos of the day. What have you discovered about yourself while listening? More importantly, what are you ready to change in your life? Think about it. How often do we let our mornings slip away to stress or distraction? Imagine the transformation if you started each day aligned with your purpose, focused on your deepest intentions. These early hours are not interruptions. They are blessings. By embracing them, you set a tone of peace and power for everything that follows. So the question becomes, will you accept this gift of awakening, or will you dismiss it as coincidence? We've seen the power of reflection in unlocking clarity and purpose. Your mornings can now be a time of gratitude for what is, and for what's yet to come. Gratitude shifts energy, turning dreams into reality. Intention setting turns wandering thoughts into focused actions. Breathing connects you to your essence. When practiced consistently, these rituals create ripples that shape your day, your relationships, and your future. How will you use this knowledge to elevate your mornings? Science tells us your brain is most receptive during these hours, and Buddhist teachings guide us to use this time for spiritual connection. Together, they create a compelling roadmap for transformation. But here's the challenge. The universe opens this window to everyone. Only a few choose to walk through it. Are you one of the few? Will you use this opportunity to listen, grow, and align with your purpose, or will you let it slip away unnoticed? Your mornings are now your power. By practicing conscious breathing, you calm the storm of racing thoughts. Through gratitude, you connect with abundance. By setting intentions, you become the architect of your life. These are not just ideas, they are tools, proven by both ancient wisdom and modern science. The path is yours to walk. Will you seize these moments and transform your mornings into a sanctuary of clarity and strength? Or will you let routine dictate your life? Now, I want to hear from you. Have you experienced waking at 3 a.m. and felt something deeper stirring within? What has this episode inspired in you? Share your reflections in the comments below. Let's build a community of people embracing these sacred hours and transforming their lives. Remember, your voice matters. It could inspire someone else to take their first step. So, leave a comment, and let's continue this journey together. If this episode resonated with you, don't let the conversation end here. Like this video, share it with others who need this message, and subscribe to the channel for more content that blends ancient wisdom with modern insights. Together, we can build a movement of awakening, one morning at a time. Take action now. Engage, connect, and embrace your mornings as the powerful new beginning they are meant to be. This is your time. Let's awaken together.